This video is sponsored by PCBWay. More about them at the end of the video. Cheesecake the combat robot recently moved from Massachusetts to Illinois, which is technically where he was born, but he was too young to remember it, so it's a whole new world and a whole new group of robots to compete against. Our very first Midwest tournament was the Motown Bot Showdown in Detroit, Michigan, hosted by the i3 Detroit Makerspace, sponsored by Repeat Robotics, and stacked with a ton of terrifying opponents. Between moving to a new state and getting a new job, I didn't have time to make a lot of improvements to Cheesecake, but combat robotics isn't about having all the best Uber gear, it's about doing what you can with what you have, so here's what I had. First, you may recall that Cheesecake's weapon attaches to the motor using an expanding TPU collet. This works really well for absorbing shocks when my weapon hits an opponent. The problem is that Cheesecake is hitting so hard that this collet gets ripped apart. I didn't have time to get it machined or molded, so instead I just reduced the number of arms on the collet so each one is thicker. Will it work? I don't know, but it's all I've got. My second improvement was to replace my heavily customized Flash Hobby weapon motors with ones from Repeat Robotics. These Repeat motors have a thicker 4mm shaft and well-glued magnets, so hopefully these Repeat motors won't need to be customized like my old Flash Hobby ones. And finally, I got some new top armor for Cheesecake just in time. My old top armor was just one big plate, but this new top armor is made of smaller pieces for protecting specific areas, like, oh, I don't know, my wheels. With all these changes made, and the dust cleaned off of Cheesecake, we drove from Chicago to Detroit to compete at Motown Bot Showdown 2, where we finally got to meet some new Midwest friends. I was really excited to see that the horizontal spinners were out in force, and some of them were even using a single flat fork attachment to fight against wedge bots. Attachments like these are designed to slip under wedges and prevent your horizontal spinner from launching itself when it hits the wedge. It's worked very well for Cheesecake, so I'm excited to see this design catching on in the community. As far as the tournament itself goes, there were 2 rounds of fights. The first round was a Swiss bracket, in which each robot would fight up to 4 times to determine their seed for the second round, a single-elimination bracket. My first fight was against the Chaos Coordinator, a horizontal spinner who's all about that big weapon. Cheesecake's weapon doesn't have nearly as much reach, so I decided to put on all of my front armor, the cake slice on the bottom and some cheeks on the top. Hopefully, with this combination of sword and shield, I'll be able to get close enough to hit the Chaos Coordinator without taking too much damage myself. As always, the goal of each fight is to disable your opponent so they can't drive. If both robots are still driving at the end of the time limit, then a panel of judges will determine the winner based on the damage you do to your opponent, the control you have over the match, and the aggression you show.
We're fighting in 3, 2, 1, fight. Oh no!
Whoops, there goes my weapon. And now his weapon is down. Nice!
Nice spark.
And now we push. The Chaos Coordinator is trying to get his weapon unstuck by spinning himself around, which does sometimes work, and I'm trying to show more aggression and control by going after him and pushing him around. And that's basically the entire rest of the fight, so we're gonna fast forward through that.
3, 2, 1, that's the fight. Good job,
Because both robots were still driving at the end, it went to a judge's decision, and the winner was Cheesecake. Both robots lost their weapons, but I was able to show more aggression and control. The fighting ended pretty quickly, but the first 2 hits were awesome. In the very first hit, the Chaos Coordinator ripped off my side armor and sliced clean through my weapon motor wires, which is why my weapon stopped working. And in the second hit, he punched a massive dent in the top of my front armor, but this bent his frame just enough to make his weapon collide with his chassis and stop it from spinning. The reason my armor was dented so badly is because it's made of grade 2 titanium instead of grade 5. Why was it made of grade 2? because I messed up the design of my grade 5 pieces and I didn't have time to fix it. Next time I will. And finally, the shaft of my repeat weapon motor did get visibly bent, even though it's 4 millimeters thick. So I decided to switch back to my highly customized Flash Hobby motors, but I have some plans for customizing the repeat motors in the future. My next fight was against a wedge bot named Cavorting Beastie. This robot has a massive grade 5 titanium wedge, so the question is, who would win? A massive grade 5 titanium wedge, or one sweet-toothed boy? Let's find out.
3, 2, 1. Robot!
Now that was a fun fight. The Sweet Tooth did its job of keeping me on the ground, allowing me to go back for hit after hit. I wasn't able to rip the wedge off, but I did manage to carve a massive gash into it, which looks super cool, and the other driver was kind enough to give me his used wedge after this fight. By unanimous judges' decision, the winner was Cheesecake, but Cavorting Beastie is an amazing wedge bot, and I had fun the entire fight. My next fight was against a horizontal spinner called Horizon, and you know what? I take it back. The Chaos Coordinator may have a big weapon, but Horizon is the robot who is all about that big weapon. I suspected that maybe his oversized weapon didn't hit very hard on account of the air resistance it would encounter, but even so, I needed a plan. I opted for the same sword and shield approach I used against the Chaos Coordinator, but since my grade 2 front armor was trashed, I quickly and badly modified my grade 5 armor, including making a custom washer to hold it down. Not my best work, but it's on there. Unfortunately, for all that work, it turned out that Horizon's weapon was at the exact same height as Cheesecake's, so I guess we'll just have to see who hits harder.
3, 2, 1.
Okay, his weapon does hit hard, and my weapon is dead.
psychology I taught. They can't get me.
Whoops. His weapon is so quiet. I guess it's not churning up the air too much after all.
What's the drop down in the bottom box? It's the open window. Let's go to the actual. Do you have any options to go full screen there or no? Just this. Whoa! Okay. Everything's fine. Everything's fine.
Everything was fine.
Next time we get a break, we'll just start my laptop.
There, for now.
Okay.
I just hit every dot. Yeah, figured it out.
How's your wheel?
His right wheel is falling off. Wow! Okay, his weapon does hit hard. Horizon ripped off part of my frame and the shaft of my weapon motor. He got a solid hit on the motor itself, exposing the magnets inside, and he mangled my side armor. In exchange, well, Horizon got stuck on the floor, and his right wheel fell off. By unanimous judges' decision, the winner was Cheesecake? Wait, how exactly? Now don't get me wrong, I do want to win, but that did not feel like a win. I asked the judges about this decision, and they explained that, per the judging guidelines, Cheesecake and Horizon technically had similar amounts of damage. Cheesecake had Tier E damage, impairment of weapon and drive, while Horizon had Tier D damage, impairment of weapon or drive. So, on paper, the difference in damage was not very large. However, the judges agreed with my intuition, so they're going to reevaluate how damage is scored in the future. I did make sure to give the driver of Horizon all the trophies I could from Cheesecake, which was a lot of broken parts, because he absolutely deserved them. That was a fantastic fight. My next fight was against Vertigo, a big scary vertical spinner. His super wide design means that he can scoop up little robots like Cheesecake, and his vertical spinner is super loud and scary. Now, technically, I didn't need to fight Vertigo because I'd already won 3 fights and was guaranteed a spot in the single-elimination bracket, but I still wanted to see what happens, so let's find out.
3, 2, 1.
Oh, his weapon is down. Nice.
decent.
I guess that works.
The rest of this fight was just a pushing match. Okay, that was nuts. Vertigo ripped my weapon clean off my motor. That hasn't happened in years.
There you go.
In return, Vertigo's weapon went down, albeit for mysterious reasons.
My weapon works, it just hit the ground, but the actual motor works.
Spin it.
Oh, never mind, it doesn't.
Needless to say, the judges awarded the win to Vertigo. We both lost our weapons, but Vertigo was much more aggressive and controlling with his wide dustpan design. With the preliminary fights complete, it was time for the single-elimination tournament bracket. To kick off the bracket, Cheesecake was matched against an overhead hammer saw called Chop Shop.
Chop Shop! Chop Shop!
This meant it was finally time to try on my shiny new top armor. With my side armor removed, I had just enough weight for my top and bottom armor, so I was really hopeful that this fight would go better than my previous fights against hammer saw robots. Let's see if it works.
3, 2, 1. That's not the wheel I want to begin.
That went pretty well. It's not a cheesecake tournament without at least one wheel getting eaten, so I was super happy to finally get some good wheel shots. In exchange, Chop Shop got a hit on my chassis, completely avoiding my armor, which was great driving by Chop Shop, but I want someone to hit my top armor. How else am I supposed to know if it actually works? Well, a win's a win, so Cheesecake moves on. My next fight was against a vertical spinner named Poison, with a big solid weapon and a big solid wedge. So I refitted Cheesecake with the Sweet Tooth, replaced all my side armor, and then I realized I had just enough spare weight for 2 pieces of top armor on my front arms. This was great because I've had these arms ripped clean through by vertical spinners before, so I figured that this top armor might actually be useful against vertical spinners. Let's try it out.
3, 2, 1.
Wow, now that was brutal. But honestly, if I'm going to lose, that's how I want to lose. Cheesecake got a few good hits in, but Poison was absolutely relentless. Oh yeah, and the front fell off. I have no idea why this is suddenly a problem again. Eventually, Poison delivered this hit to my underbelly, which ripped into my battery and somehow disabled it without making it catch fire, which was very considerate of Poison. Additionally, he bent my weapon and ripped the Sweet Tooth to shreds. The only damage I did to Poison was to bend his weapon a little bit and chip his wedge a little bit. On the positive side, my top armor absolutely saved me. It had some big dents, but it held together, so that's a great success. After his fight with Cheesecake, Poison went on to fight another horizontal spinner named Curb Stomp. This was another brutal performance by Poison, but in a cruel twist of fate, Poison got stuck on the wheel he ripped off of Curb Stomp, which caused him to stop moving and get counted out. This meant that Curb Stomp took first place, Poison took second, and Cheesecake took third. This was a very fun tournament with an exciting batch of new competitors, and I learned that Cheesecake is going to need some real upgrades if he wants to hang with the big boys in the Midwest. Make sure to subscribe to keep up with our journey, check out robotcombatevents.com for tournaments near you, and thanks for watching. This video is sponsored by PCBWay. There are some tools you just can't fit into an apartment or even a house, and that's where PCBWay can help you out. They don't just make printed circuit boards, they have a surprising range of other fabrication services, including sheet metal, 3D printing, injection molding, and CNC machining. To get a price for your part, you simply upload your 3D or 2D file to their website, and most parts can be automatically quoted right there. For more complex parts, their team will review it and quote it manually, which is still surprisingly quick. The next time you need something made, check out PCBWay.